Hey everybody, it's Maven Monday, and today we're going to talk about how we can all be better emailers. So a recent study found that only 56% of the time are our email tones interpreted correctly. So we boil this down to 8 points that you can use to hack what's happening in the personal life and a real life interaction and apply that to your emails. The first is going to be setting the tone. What you want to do is pretend like you've greeted that person on the street or you saw them in a meeting, and we all start with this hello, this salutation. And oftentimes in email we jump straight to the point and we don't take a few words to set the tone. So a couple of these could be great to hear from you, or hey, thanks for your email, or hope you're having a good week. And what that does is it sets an emotional setup to where the next thing you have to say started from a positive point. The second thing we want to do is smile while we type. When we're talking to somebody, we use inflections, we use facial movements, and you kind of want to do this as much as you can while you type. And so reverse engage this by pretending you're in front of them and imagining how you'd present your facial expressions. Does your language align with those facial expressions? Read it back out loud to yourself and say, would I actually say that in person? The third thing you want to do is make them a sandwich. So oftentimes emails are at a point where we need to make a shift in somebody's thinking or be persuasive. And this good old-fashioned technique is start with a good, then give them the meat, and then end with a positive note. I like to incorporate meeting them where they are. It's impossible to change somebody's thinking if you don't meet them where they are. So acknowledge something good about the previous thought or their previous point. And then say, but I feel like this is what needs to change. And then realign that to your bottom part of your sandwich is why that's important for the overall mission. And by doing that, you start with the good, you do the uncomfortable thing, and then you end with the good. The fourth thing is don't be a grammar fool. So a recent study found that 43% of people found that grammar can very negatively affect somebody's perception of you. And you don't want that negativity associated with your personal brand or your brand. And so we just say it's not worth it for the trade-off. It takes seconds to sharpen up an email just to make sure it's not bad. So if you're not good at grammar, use Grammarly or some other tool that will on the fly catch your bad wording or maybe your bad punctuation, and don't let yourself be victim to that negative perception. The fifth thing you want to do is schedule for peak delivery. So consider the emotional state of somebody, the time of day when they're receiving your email. If it's after the morning, they're probably going to be busy. They're not going to feel like they have time to consider what you're talking about. So you kind of figure out what your audience's behavior is, and you can use a number of tools. Our favorite are Boomerang, and we also use HubSpot to schedule emails into the future. So if you're writing something at 9 in the evening or maybe in the middle of the day and you want it to go out where they've got time to consider it, you can schedule those and use those tools to do that. The sixth thing is break it down with bullets. Quite simply, if you've got more than one point to make, number it so it can be easily discerned and thought about in chunks. 7 is don't email. Sometimes emailing is just a really, really bad idea, particularly when you have an emotional thing you need to deliver. It's very, very hard to get that tone to come off the page in the way that you want it to. So when you're either delivering really good news or really bad news or something that really takes some consideration, use the phone call or the personal meetup so you can deliver those gestures of nuance. Here are my last things. These are personal rants, and I kind of reserve the right to do these, and there's just 3 things that stand out to me. And number 1 is don't ever reply with sure. That's like the least amount of confidence you can build in anything, whether it's sure yes or sure no or I don't really care. Give it some nuance. Sure just sounds bad, it falls flat. The second thing, don't ever omit your salutations. Always say hello and always say goodbye. You would never get up in the middle of a conversation and walk away without that next step or that kind of nuance. So always keep your salutations in there. And the third and last rant of mine is don't ever attempt aggression in an email. Even when you're mad or even when something needs to change, save those hard conversations for personal times. You can deliver matter-of-fact things in an email, but don't ever attempt to be aggressive, either passive-aggressive or just on purpose. So that's our tips for being a better emailer. We hope they help you get your point across. If you'd like more personal training with your team or even yourself, give us a call or shoot us an email at mavenmondays@frankandmaven.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.